Before the video starts, I just wanted to ask that even if you are a huge Genshin fan, try your best to watch this with an open mind. This isn't a Genshin vs Wuthering Waves fight as much as people keep insisting that it is. Both games can be enjoyable for different reasons. If you can even go crazy and play both games at the same time. Anyway, with that out of the way, I am about to shit talk Genshin for the next few minutes. I love Genshin. That might come as a surprise, but Risley and Neuvillette are two of my favorite characters in the game right now, and they've both been released in just the last year. I genuinely still log on to play Genshin every single day, because my love for the game isn't completely dead yet. It's going that direction, but not yet, not quite yet. Despite that, it's hard to ignore that the game has been rinsing and repeating its own content for the last 2 to 3 years. This year's just been a new region, a new Archon quest, and characters to go along with it, which gets old after the 4th cycle of doing that. The release of Sumeru actually gave me a lot of hope. Finally getting Dendro made me think we were finally going to get a whole host of new mechanics and things like that to shake up how stale the game had started to become. Maybe they'd go crazy and we'd get a new weapon type in Fontaine, just to keep that momentum going. Not getting characters with guns as their weapon type in Fontaine was probably the biggest fumble we have seen Genshin made to date. I think that would have been extremely cool and added so much freshness that the game needed. I know it's not the best comparison, but Star Rail is constantly trying new stuff to keep the game fresh and give us content to do that isn't just the same Mario Party minigames or 3-year-old game modes like Wind Race. Pure Fiction was added in just the first year of the game's release and shook up the meta with 2 of the worst damage dealers in the game suddenly shooting up to top tier in it. We've also seen leaks indicating that we might get another new game mode for more single target focused characters that have been mostly neglected up until this point. We've actually seen leaks for a new game mode for endgame players that actually has a similar function. A game mode that pushes you to try out characters that you otherwise might ignore with its energy mechanic. My problem is that it's taken years to get to this point, and that's kind of shattered my hope for the future. All that to say, how does Wuthering Waves tie into this? Wuthering Waves hasn't even been released yet, so it might be completely insane for me to be listing Genshin's current problems and trying to compare them, but just hear me out. Kuro Game, in just the gap between CBT1 and CBT2, has shown a huge willingness to listen to the developing community around the game. We saw characters reworked, entire voices changed, and a rewrite of most of the story. Since CBT2, we've also seen leaks and announcements, telling us about reworks for characters when the game fully releases. If you've watched videos around the game, I know you've heard these points hundreds of times, but this is so important to highlight Kuro Game's approach to Wuthering Waves. Kuro Game has to do this, because it's not just enough for Wuthering Waves to be just as good of an experience as Genshin. You have to be even better to convince as many people as possible to cast the sunk cost fallacy aside and commit to a new game. Even if the game sucks, just trying Wuthering Waves out for a few hours to see if you like it shows that if another game offers a better experience in the same genre, that you're willing to move on from Genshin. And if you're only playing Genshin to stare at Clorinda and Risley, just wait until you see Yinlin and Calcharo. All that to say, Kuro Game has invested a lot into Wuthering Waves. We've seen people praise the combat, the endgame content in the world, and what it offers is genuinely already looking competitive with the current day Genshin, let alone how it was in 1.0. If the game doesn't look appealing now, come back in half a year, and just see where the game's at. If the game still doesn't interest you in the slightest right now, we can use a lot of what we've seen to deduce what Wuthering Waves will do next. Obviously, it's impossible to predict where the game will go, but at the very least, I think we've seen enough to deduce that the game probably won't go down Genshin's path of recycling and creating events that don't really do anything to enhance the gameplay. Seriously, I left that potion event to the last minute because it was mind-numbingly boring and I just wanted the primos. Like I said before, Wuthering Waves can't be just as good as Genshin, and Kuro Game knows this. They're not stupid. I think we've seen them try their best to offer as much of a variety of content as possible to give everyone a ton to do on release and show the direction they want to take the game and how they are committed to making an actually good experience. If Wuthering Waves lives up to be an actual competitor to Genshin, then we could seriously see a really cool dynamic where each game pushes each other to do more than they already are. If people actually give Wuthering Waves a chance and they genuinely enjoy it, we could see people spend on Jian and Yinlin rather than Clorinde and Sijuin, who are coming out in the next few months, and as you all know, Hoyo will do anything to get you to spend. If, in retaliation to that, Genshin offers new endgame content with events that offer really cool stories, then I'm obviously going to give them a chance again for a really simple reason. At the end of the day, as I said at the start of the video, this isn't some sort of war between people that play Wuthering Waves and Genshin. I know a lot of people have pitted the games against each other, and I've pretty much just done the same, but you don't have to choose one time between being a Wuthering Waves fan or a Genshin fan. Wuthering Waves is a game in a genre you already enjoy. I know it's a lot to ask, but seriously, just try the game out. You can give Genshin a break. 4.7 won't be out until June, which is more than enough time to see if the game is something you're actually interested in. In the absolute worst case, you don't enjoy the game. You drop it after a few days, a week, and that's more than fine. As I said before, you're sending the message to Hoyo that if they don't continue to innovate, add new events, and new game modes to Genshin that are actually enjoyable, and something that you genuinely want to invest your time into for none other than the fact that you enjoy it, then they can lose you as a player, which, as consumers, is our most powerful tool and realistically the only weapon we have against game studios. To all the Wuthering Waves fans that have gotten this far, try not to foster a community that does nothing but shit on Genshin fans. I've seen it a ton on Twitter already. Some content creators have made absolutely awful takes, some of the worst I've seen on a game, and as funny as it is to rip them apart, I think we could seriously do a better job. If you're still on the fence, I'll be streaming when Wuthering Waves releases at the Twitch in the description, so you can give the game a better look then. Thank you for watching. Fuck mindless brand loyalty, and I'll see you next time.